Hello, and welcome once again. My name is Goscalyon, and this is the 5 Lives, 5 Styles series that I'm doing, where I'm basically doing a new style, every time I die. And since we died a couple of episodes ago, now it's finally time to start with the second style. And the first style has been upstairs with the somewhat magical red area, a bunch of trees, and now we're gonna go underground. And the first bit that I want to do that is connected to basically the rest of my mine and the iron farm and all that stuff, I want to go ahead and build a street in here. But first, as you can see, there is a lot of mine in the way. And I have some farms on the left and on the right, and I want stuff moving between each of these houses and buildings that I'm going to be building. And these aren't going to be the only farms in the area either. I want many more farms, small farms like sugarcane and some bigger farms in the future, whatever farms we want. But a lot of stuff moving back and forth. Now this is going to be one long, windy street so that we can look through from the beginning to the end. Now, as you see, there is a bit of a rock in the way, and I also wanted to go pretty high. And here I already dug through, so we can see that it isn't completely like filled in with blocks. There is another area up there where there is a cave. So we might not have to dig out everything, but we are going to have to dig out quite a big section. Before we do that, however, I want to go ahead and lay down a bunch of dirt blocks and sort of map out the street and get a bit of a visual of how the buildings are going to look. So I'm going to be laying down a bunch of buildings around this area, on the left and on the right, and sort of enclosing these farms, hiding them. And we'll see what the entire area that I'm going to have to dig upwards is going to look like. So yeah, now we're going to dig out the entire ceiling here. All the way, I think. Let's just do all the way. Let's dig out the entire ceiling. Alright, there we go. That is a pretty decent chunk that I just cut out. Now, of course, we still have a pretty good chunk to go, but I just wanted to take this moment to, look up and see how much space we actually have. Because as you see, there is so much space above the area that we just dug out. And when we dig out this section, it's going to be a lot more open. And I want to extend these dirt pillars to sort of show me the entirety of the street. I want to have it reach above this section in a couple of cases at least. Not for all of the buildings, of course, because some we want to end a little bit lower, others we want to stick out higher. And maybe there will be, some buildings that stop here, but then there is a second layer that just pokes out above everything else, just to get a bit of variation going. And yeah, of course, this is one of those sections where I want minecarts to cross over. It won't be dirt and full blocks. No, it will be maybe some slabs and a minecart track going over. So it will be much thinner and a lot less blocking of the view. There might be a few more of those going across the city. I do have some ideas on how to make those look. I got a couple of designs ready to be put into place, I think. But yeah, let's go ahead and continue with the digging and see what we got for the space. My favorite part of this is just tossing my resources in this water here that I've been abusing. It's from my mangrove farm, but I've just been tossing all my stone in there, so it automatically goes into the chest. It's very satisfying to see everything go down there, just like that. You toss it all down there, and it just moves all the way up into the chests. I love it. Now, at some point I'm gonna have to clean up this chest, but let's not worry about that, shall we? As the first entry, I'm going to pretty much build something right here. And I changed the order a little bit, so I'm probably going to have to dig up through this wall. But what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to have a building that sticks out over here. I'm probably going to have to make this a little bit smaller at this end. And after this, I probably want to cut it down back that way, so to open up the path a little bit right before this sort of small alleyway. And then over here, I'm going to build a building, and then over here, I want to have the building where this minecart track is going to come out of. Sort of a more technical building. I'm not sure if this is where the track is going to be. I might move it a little bit more to the center of this building. But yeah, it's going to connect over to that side. It might not even be in a straight section. I'm not sure at all. But what I'm going to do first is I'm probably going to just build a wall here. And I grabbed a few resources. Over here, some granite. I actually need some of that as well. That's a bit of a difference. We have some copper. And yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and build something here. Probably mostly out of granite. Maybe in the corners a little bit of that. Then, you know, let's do a row of copper here. Now, I would like this copper to oxidize a little bit, so that's probably going to take a while, I think. I'm not sure. And then here we switch back over to the... I know I'm holding wood, that's for the building next to this. Because I'm not going to be doing the same material for every building. So I want to have some colors that sort of work together, but aren't like the exact same, or that one of them will disappear into the other. I would think that would be not so good to have a red building right next to the granite and the copper. I like that because this wood doesn't have those harsh lines in between. Like if you were to do that with spruce, let's put it down without without actually placing a different block. Can I do this? Like if I were to place these next to one another, well, in stripped form, of course. Let me just drip, drip. You get like this really harsh line in the middle. No, it's not that bad with spruce actually, but you will see it, right? You will see it if there is multiple stacked. All right, so now we have a wall. So let's go ahead and look a little bit from a distance here. And as you can see, I am planning to have this one stick out a little bit before that. And I'm also thinking of maybe adding a balcony. Now, initially I had the balcony up here, but I think creating like a corner like this, a corner balcony could be really cool. So I'm probably going to be doing that. I brought a few materials that I think will work, like spruce or something. But first, let me just build like a little platform to get into the house. And I was thinking some andesite, maybe some of this. For now, I'll put a torch here. But there we go. Now, of course, it has a little bit of floating stuff above it that I'll need to mine out. But I think we can see it. Oh, that's not what I intended to do. I intended to walk further back. So as we come around, this is, of course, initially blocked, right? So over here, we can probably see it a little bit. This is sticking out with some details. And then we come around. And then we'll see it. We'll see it pop around the corner. Which I think is nice. And then, of course, this goes further up with some more stuff. This will be a lot of fun. And that's essentially how I want all of these to go. Now, let's go ahead and do the next one. All right, there we go. I got myself some of the resources. The basalt, some deepslate bricks, and some deepslate. And I'm going to add another building here. And I think I want to do it on this line here. And so I'm going to start a corner here. And I'm going to go ahead and... I guess I'll place some brick. That's what we're going to start off with. Maybe actually we want to do a bunch of these at the bottom. There we go. We'll do a little bit of this. It's a little bit of a gradient, right? So we do that. And of course the rest is going to be mostly deep slate. Let's get rid of this dirt. I could go ahead and maybe make this a little bit lower. Somewhere around here, there should be a a door, but I'm not sure where this door is going to be yet. So I'm not going to waste any time trying to figure that out. We'll think about it soon. So I brought these blast furnaces, and what I actually liked is if we use the side of the blast furnace. So let's go ahead and place this. Because the front has this weird grating that I mean, I don't hate it, but it's not the best texture here. So, but this, oh my goodness, I'm great at jumping today. There we go. You see that? It's quite a nice line. It adds a little bit of gray. And what I want to do is above that, I want to put this. So this was originally a little bit lower. At least I sort of sketched it in there as an idea. But I think I'm going to put it up higher because I think roughly around here, I want to have a door. And then, I don't know, maybe here we do a window. Actually, let's move it one over. Next up, yeah, I'm probably going to be trying to keep doing this. I won't be talking over all of the buildings that I'm going to be adding, but essentially what I want to do is I want to add all of these buildings one by one. I'll probably do some on the other side. I'm not going to do all of them. I probably will try and get some more of this building done, but I think that's about as far as I want to go. And then some on the other side. I was thinking one that is more made of diorite and calcite maybe. And then a couple of wooden houses. Like I brought a bunch of different woods. I also have an idea for a mangrove house. Let's go ahead and build that one next. Maybe if I just move it one block back here, that could be fine. That's perfectly fine, I think. And I could do it slightly forward there and have the building. This is the one that I think is going to connect to the moss farm. And this could be the doorway. Maybe I actually do like this, the doorway here. There we go. And actually what I want to do here, maybe I can use the red here with the acacia trapdoors. Oh, whoops, I think I don't want to show this. What if we use these? Now, I know that this floor is not correct yet, but I just want to put these doors in just to give it an idea. I think these are the first actual doors. I would like this to continue a little bit on, actually. I also like that even though I pulled down the building or pushed it back a little bit, because of the overhang coming forward a little bit more, it sort of claims that space anyway. And then of course we want to make this one a little bit higher, so I think I'll do that now. Okay, how does that look without the dirt? Of course we don't want the dirt pillar in front. All right, we can't see the windows from all angles just yet, but that's fine. I'm not sure how much I enjoy the roof just yet. Maybe it's gonna need a little bit more. One thing I can actually fix, I think, is lower these. So if I do this, that should help a little bit. I don't know why I'm doing it one by one. Let's grab a few more. This is otherwise going to be taking a while. We have more, right? There we go. So the idea is as follows. So instead of having them up there, we lower them by one. Oh, Because that way, if I do this, let me just lower these. That's not how they're gonna be, but I can at least grab this. There we go. Oh, see, that already helps a little bit more. Look at that. That makes that line continue a little bit. Yeah, like that. So for the next building, I want to actually use the mud bricks and mud. I've been very much enjoying this block outside of this project, but I want to just also make a very quick building with this. And I think at the higher sections of this building, I want to transition into the spruce and maybe some dark oak. And I'll just quickly show a few cuts from the process. Make a few very simple windows like this. And what we could also do, but that's, you know, future thing, we could easily get a bit of a planter box in there. Whatever plants we can do. Yep. So how is the dirt in between this? Do I want to go for the dirt first? Well, that's definitely not what I want. That actually works quite nicely. So we have a little bit of a dirt layer in between. Let's just put a lot of brown concrete down here. There we go. That is probably all that I will do for this building for now. I am thinking of adding some more dark oak details, like these dark oak stairs, for example, and like make a window, a big window up here. But I will probably do that somewhere later and won't put it in some kind of a time lapse or something. For the next few buildings, however, I do want to show a quick time lapse of me building a few sections of those. So let's switch over to the other side of the street. A little bit of detail. I think bamboo could really work here. Ooh, I do like that. What if I change these? Because I don't actually like these quite that much. What about those? Ooh, you know what? I like that. So we can also get some regular plants. Maybe this. Like that. And some, maybe a rose bush or something in between. But of course we need some trapdoors, and I think bamboo trapdoors for this one will be nice. So yeah, let's get a bunch of lanterns actually, because I feel that that's kind of what's missing, because there is a bunch of torches going around, and I kind of want to get a bit of lighting going. So maybe I just grab a bunch of light sources and start adding them to see if I can change the vibe with all these floating torches out of there. And then I think the next buildings I want to add is this corner one and this corner one, or two. So this whole entrance is kind of finished. And then over here, I would like to maybe add one or two more buildings. And I think that's about it. I think I don't want to continue with that one for now. Because I feel that if I build too much in a single go, then I'm not going to be having too many different ideas going on. So I want to keep it, I mean, somewhat light on the details probably, and just detail as we go. So I think for this time, I'm gonna focus on these buildings as much, and I do want to have some height here as well, so maybe here there will be a connection between these two buildings. But yeah, anyway, let's go ahead and grab some materials and I'll be right back. There we go, we got some lanterns and I got some flowers. Let's go ahead and grab them. Now let's see, what do I want to do? I could also maybe make some chains actually. Some chains and some fences. Now if I want to hang it up here, we could definitely be hanging off there, right? That could easily be the case. We have a rose bush. Does that just make it straight up better? I think I actually like that a lot. I don't know why, but it felt a little bit strange before. Figure maybe... I I don't know if I wanted to change that, but anyway, let's put a lilac flower over there. Was that a lilac? It was. Okay, cool. And a penny over here. There we go. Now here we have a few as well. Just put a few rose bushes. Now I didn't bring any small flowers. But we could put some glow lichen there. And over here, maybe I can hang off some lanterns. Up here, we don't really want any torches. This is going to be a little bit darker. But to make sure that nothing spawns, I'm going to place some lichen, of course. Another thing I wanted to try was detail this and this with a little bit of sandstone. So let's make a few variations of that and see how that looks. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is not going to look that great. I mean, I don't hate it. Let's see what we do if that's the case. I mean, I don't necessarily hate it all that much, but let me see what we can do here. If we change this. Also, I didn't really intend to use this much sandstone, but all right. So this is what I think I like the best here. And yeah, I mean, I could fiddle around with this for a long time, but at some point we gotta call it. All right. So I was thinking, and I did a little bit of a re-layout here, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a tower here, and then a little bit lower to the floor over here. I think I'm gonna make that into a rooftop. And then over here, I want a bit of a slanted roof, quite low to the floor. And then a little bit further behind it, I want to have the building. So for the side, I think I'm going to mostly do stone brick, build like a little tower. And then for down here, a combination of mostly some stone and some light gray powder. Let's do one block higher, so it actually... Maybe one more. And maybe one more gap of stone. Like, I don't want a continuous pillar of just stone brick, but mostly stone brick. There we go. I came back to make a single pot. Now, of course, I brought a little bit more clay in order to build a few more things, but here we go. Let's build the... not there. Let's build the pot right in front of the window. There we go. And whoop, beautiful flower. Now, a bit dark, so let's put a torch behind here. Where do I have my torches? That was totally intended, of course. Definitely, that's where I leave all my torches. Now let's put a torch up here. And I'm going to replace the row over there with this copper here and turn it into a slightly more oxidized version. And then wax it, of course, to keep it in that permanent state. Now, one of the blocks I think already has it, so let's go ahead and get up there. One more. Right there. This one already has it, so this one we wax. Oh, that's the first time I do this. Wax on. Well, we're gonna have to do it, don't we? Wax off. There we go. We cannot not do it. Alright, so let's place these down. And then, of course, we do this. 2 times. We wax those. We're gonna have to, of course, grab that. Oh. There we go. Now, let's wax all of that. Perfect. Now they're all waxed. All right, and that is exactly what I was looking for. This color is, I think, perfect. You know, let's actually build a top on this. Let's see how high I want this to be. I think maybe this is already a good start, just 1 or 2 blocks above this for where I want the roof to be. And then I'll probably poke out just underneath this balcony. But then what do I want to do with this building? I am not sure. We'll have to figure that out, I guess. And there we go. There is the roof for this beautiful tower. It's a small tower, as you can see, and it ends roughly over here. Now, I put in a few things with dirt, and I also did that further along the line, like a few over there and one over here, lower to the ground. And I am thinking of these as mostly overhangs, where one side is connected to the other one. They could be roofed, like connecting both sides with like a walkway, or like this one over here that I'm intending to be a minecart track. Now, I'm not sure which one is going to be which. I definitely think that this one will be a connection between the 2 buildings. But I'm not sure what I want to do with this top section yet. There's gonna be several buildings here. I am also thinking of connecting this section up here to this one way or another. Some building is gonna go here. Maybe what I'm gonna do is have this building that's gonna be at the end of this. As you can see, there was an original line going here for the building. I moved that forward a little bit. But maybe up there, I can move it back out so that it's hanging over this. I'm not sure yet. The way that I'm approaching this is mostly just going one by one and just putting down as it goes. Like with this one, I just put the roof in. There's gonna be something behind here. And I'm going to also build a building in this corner here. But one by one, I'm just filling in the gaps and thinking, what could go there? And we just go around like this. Same for this. This is going to be an overhang, a connection. And it's going to be lower to the ground. It's going to feel a little bit more cozy, I suppose. But yeah, that's my approach so far. And yeah, now I'm mostly focusing on this corner here, trying to get that finished and trying to get this, you know, this approach to this. It's starting to really come together. I'm really liking how this tower looks. Like the bit of the lighter in the front with the darker in the back. I'm really liking that. And then of course the dark oak way further in the back. And then as you come around the corner, it lightens up with the diorite here and the bamboo. It's especially the light focuses your eye on this corner. I really, really like that. And then of course here your mind gets drawn to this. However, there is a bit of a gap here, and I think that will help bring this more detail. And same with this, of course. Once we put that in, it's going to totally bring this area together. And as I said, I think that's what I'm going to be focusing on today. So I will probably finish this building, add some more up top. Then I will get to do this corner. And then, of course, further in the back a little bit on the right. And maybe I stop at the overhang. That would be, I think, a pretty good solid street. Because, you know, as you can see, I've planned out a little bit. This is going to go all the way to where my iron farm is. And these aren't going to be as high as this. I want this to be really, really tall. But I do want some of the street, some houses, maybe some storage, maybe some farms to go in this section. And there we go. Now I added the extra bit of wall here. And I sort of made a continuation of this without the deep slate. But yeah, I think now I just want to get these walls in, or at least something here. So we can have this look a little bit more like it's supposed to be there, because right now it kind of feels like it's missing something. And that's true, because this is supposed to be a wall here. And then when you have this face, it'll make more sense, I think. Now, also what I've done is I've added a little bit of terracotta here, as you can probably not see, right there and right there in the corners. And then a little bit of red sand around there, which I think just fits perfectly. You can barely tell that it's there, and it's just a slight variation of the tint. It works also quite nicely with the bit of shadow that we've got going on, especially even with the lichen, so it should be non-spawnable. And yeah, I think I am very much liking this process of just building a wall and then seeing where we go from there. And with a busy street like this, I don't think we'll need much detail on these buildings, especially if we have multiple different sections coming out. Like I said, we have a corner piece here, we have something coming out there. There is all kinds of stuff happening already. So these walls, they don't need much detail. Just a window here or there, and it'll be all really good. And from building to building, I'm trying to vary up the windows and the doors a little bit so that we don't get too much repetition. And yeah, it also is a very good way for me to practice my building skills, because I haven't really built a lot of houses. Like, this is probably the most houses I've ever built already, and that is just this street. So yeah, it's good practice, and I'm really enjoying just throwing a bunch of blocks together and coming up with combinations that work really well. Although I have to say that it's very difficult to stay away from the mud bricks. I really like them. I've already used them 2 times. That is just, I can't stay away. I was going to use it in this transition upwards too, but I'm not going to. I'll have to figure out something else for this grid. Maybe with the granite here, I'll transition into a different color up there. I'm not sure. Currently, it's all granite. I might have to change that. We'll see. Alright, for this week's addition to the mine, I am not going to add something downstairs in the mine. I am instead going to work on the front of the mine. And I am thinking of changing this area a little bit. I have got a few ores that I want to put in front with some minecart rails and a few maybe minecarts stashed around. And I want to add sort of a blacksmith station plus storage room. And I figured on this side there is quite a bit of room. I am going to terraform it a little bit and remove all of these trees, extend this mountain a little bit because it is kind of ending here, and I'm going to connect the house right there. Let's go ahead and show a short time lapse. And as we're building this episode's mineshaft extension, I want to thank you for your support. If you liked the video, please let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps the algorithm. So this beautiful trader just showed up as I am finishing off the last few details here. And as you can see, I added a little bit of a blacksmithing area here. And I laid around a few tools. Can you please stop interrupting me? Please, sir. Alright. Well, as those guys have stopped interrupting me, outside here I do have a little bit of cleanup to do. These chests, for example, I want to remove. But I think that some of this is going to be turned into barrels like this. I'll just have a little bit of storage here. I changed these tracks a little bit and added a bunch of storage for ores that we have sort of dug up out of the mines. And I'll of course have a little bit of TNT that I have to be careful with, but yeah, this one should also be able to be removed. I added some lanterns for some lighting, and it's looking a lot better already. Now we can go ahead and continue with the rest of the street. Now, to the left of the Mangrove building, we have this terracotta wall. It's quite smooth and it transitions from the granite and polished granite into the terracotta. And I was thinking of bringing some of this acacia back and then turning it into a roof with a bunch of copper, a little bit of prismarine. I let some of the copper age, and then I found this really cool extra block that works really well with this, and it's the stone brick, but the mossy variant. It works so well next to the aged copper that I really like. And for the edges of this roof, I think I want to use the black stone for a little bit of dark shape. And so let's go ahead and build this. I want this to be relatively steep so that you can still see it from down below, because this wall is pretty high up. And otherwise, I don't think you're gonna see the wall, the roof. Look at that. Doesn't that look great? I left a few of the copper further aged back, like slightly orange in between, to give a little bit of an older look. Well, I guess an aged look, right? But as you can see, the stone brick really blends well with the aged copper. I threw some lichen in there so that the copper roof can actually be seen. And now I think I just want to add some leaves to this, because the other side of this, I added some leaves as well to make this section a little bit more overgrown. And I think I want to do the same thing to the roof. And there we have it. I added the leaves up here. I also forgot to mention that I completed this building on the side here, and I added a little bit of a chimney up there and a water pipe, as I mentioned earlier as well. And now over this side, I mentioned adding some leaves. And let's go ahead and show you the roof from up there, because down here we can obviously see the roof. And so let's go ahead and show you. Look at that. Isn't that really nice? I really like the leaves here. Next up, I think I want to focus on the buildings further down the line and finish up the few last sections. These three new buildings, I think, are now my favorite buildings in this street. I really wanted to play with some color here and decided to just go with the red, green, and yellow. And I started off with just a few blocks and felt like, let's see what kind of a gradient we can make of it. And I'm so happy with the way it all fits together, and the roof and all of the leaves that are sort of creating a bit of an overgrown area here where I want to do some more decorations. So now we just have one space between this and the birch building left to do. Oh, I would almost forget about the minecart, right? I think that has to go into this building then, or something. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to go. That's something I'm going to have to figure out while I'm building it. So what I also decided I'm not going to be doing this episode is going to finish all of these buildings, right? Let's just go ahead and cut to where I have finished this. Instead of doing another time lapse, I'm just going to head and build this, and then you guys will see the finished result. Now here we go. The final results are in, and I have completed. As you can see, this was a stone wall before, and now it is the building. I decided to continue the red building a little bit further and add a staircase here. Then continue with a bit of mud brick on the side, and I extended the birch building out a little bit further. And as you can see, I moved the plants a little bit, so now they are more connected. I did add a little bit of a difference in height for these balconies, or I don't know, bits that stick out, so we have a nice view of this green building. Otherwise, that green building gets fully blocked by this, which is something I didn't like quite as much. I also added the details on this side, which I quite like. I kind of removed, and I see I forgot to fill up this gap, so I'm going to have to fill up this gap. But I moved the minecart track to all the way up there. And as you can see, I added another layer on top of the birch building, which is actually some darker blocks. So I'm moving into the spruce, the regular oak logs, and some concrete as well. I think it's brown concrete, if I'm not mistaken. Then over here we have a small building in between, just kind of a wall, which is orange colored, which I think it works kind of well between these buildings. It's not too bright, and it sort of is a little different to everything else. And of course I added a bit of decorations in here. This might just be like a little restaurant or something with a few tables. I'm gonna have to give some really cool purposes to each of the buildings, of course. And eventually I want to add a bunch of farms around here. Now of course we have the mangrove farm and the bone meal farm, but that's only two of the buildings, and there is already quite a few more buildings here. So, maybe I'll put a name for the restaurant over here, so this could be the entrance to that. Then, of course, I changed the path here, which is now a very nice stone path. I kept the somewhat original elevation, which I really enjoy, going up and down, sort of curving around the buildings, making it a lot more dynamic. And I also added a little bit of dirt here and there on the floor to give more of a sense of some patches that are darker in the corners. And then from this angle, I finished up this entire section here. I added a bit of water pipes. I added the roof, of course, with some overgrowth. Here we got another roof for this tall building. The bridge that is now completed. And yeah, that is kind of what I mostly added, as you all waited a little second. And I think this is where I'm going to leave it for now. Oh yeah, I also added a chimney, of course. I tried adding more chimneys, like for this tower, for example, but one of the downsides of the campfires is that it adds also lighting, and that would make this corner even more bright, and it looks kind of odd. So I removed it immediately again. Something I also want to do in the future is add a few more of these like banners and sort of clotheslines or something. And of course more minecart tracks. And yeah, so this is something that I want to keep doing. And a little bit of a peek around here. This is where I, of course, also planned out some streets, but this is like very much into the future. Something I was thinking is that maybe we can curve this upwards around some of the buildings and have like a back view of the street from higher up. Although that's not anything that I'm going to be working on anytime soon. I feel like first I should add a bunch of interiors, because as you can see right here, I can look through this building and see the mangrove farm. That's not very pretty. And over here, it's kind of barren. I added a obsidian blocking wall here to avoid the explosions from damaging my building. I haven't tested if it works completely, like if it blocks everything off. I might need to make it higher. I hope not. So this is kind of where I'm going to end it for this episode. I am going to end it with a very nice overview so you can enjoy. And the next episode, like I said, I am going to focus on probably connecting these farms, the bone meal and the mangrove farm, and adding more purposes and interiors to these buildings. All right, that is it for this episode. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one.